Hey there, demons, it's me, your boy. It's great to see you again, even though I can't actually see you because of the parasocial relationship of the camera, even though many of you I'm watching right now who are watching, I do know. So it's confusing. When does parasocial just become social? These questions and more will not be answered later today on this episode of Star Trek Iskandar titled Hysteresis. I couldn't tell you what episode it actually is because this episode is a time loop, which means we've been living the same day over and over and over and over and over and over again. It started to affect us weirdly. But you know what? What doesn't? And what would Star Trek be without a weird time loop episode? We are the crew of the USS Iskandar, and we hot seat GM to the tune of one of us running a fantabulous session for the rest of us, or in the case of Emily, who is our GM at the moment, just sort of cackling, just cackling, eating popcorn, holding up signs, and watching us tear ourselves apart, trying to figure out how the heck did we get out of this time loop. Aside from that, don't forget, hydrate, take your pills. Be nice to Mike. He's very sensitive about his lack of beard. And
we laughed. I laughed.
I was grateful.
People's reactions have been different, but let's just all be nice to Mike tonight because his face will get cold. And that's the real tragedy.
Put the fake beard on.
I was telling my wife how good a weekend I had, and I still have my moustache, and she said, I can't talk to you. You need to go and shave.
It was quite a tash.
I like
not the most quite a tash of the weekend, but
I like that it tells me who the first time chatters are, and apparently Agent B. Smith has never chatted before and just shouted the word science. And
welcome Agent B. Smith.
Welcome. I respect that about you, and I respect anyone who would just shout science. But also, Mike, you know, if you wanted to keep the moustache, you shouldn't be bullied by the people in your life. You should only be bullied by me. And I'm but also my partner can never look at me when I have something uncanny on my face when I come back from LARP, which since I used to play a character with mismatched eyes and a big scar was a real problem. But apart from that, welcome, Star Trek. If you're new in the chat, hi. Weird episode to be new for, but it's really exciting. Hopefully we'll get you caught up. But remember, it's a time loop. So if you don't understand what's going on, I guess neither do some of our characters. And that being said, I'm going to hand on over to Emily to get us back up to speed with the drama. Or not. That's just flat out up to them. So over to you, Roomba.
Yeah, we'll flip a coin and see whether it lands on helpful or not.
Hinderal.
Helpful or hinderal? Let's find out which way we're going tonight, folks. But yes, welcome to what is session 5 of Hysteresis, which is episode 15 of Star Trek Iskandar. As we said, the crew of the USS Iskandar are in a time loop situation, and things have been exploding over and over and over again, and some of them have been remembering their deaths over and over and over again, and everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everybody who remembers what's going on is just having a lovely time. When we left off last time, for once, we didn't end the session on the Iskandar and the Krasnikov exploding. So that's nice. We don't have to make you roll will checks at the start of the episode. Like later in the episode, maybe. Let's find out.
I'm running out of space on my tally. I'm going to need to start a new sheet of my little notebook if we have to bring more will checks.
Same. This is my list of all the will checks you fuckers have made, and it's running out of space. But yes, when we left it off, we had characters who could actually remember what the hell's going on. Elrad.
Oh boy.
Elrad's having a time with this. Chief Engineer, Lieutenant Reyes. Commander Talandra. And Security Boy, Karis Zul. Security Boy, of course, being Karis's official Starfleet rank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He can bench press so many ensigns.
So many ensigns.
So he's going to have to see if he can help bench press the Iskandar out of this problem.
This is going to become our baseball episode.
Yes, baseball loop.
It's his weight.
What you need to do is knock the explosion back into itself with, I don't know, some kind of maybe 3-foot long wooden bat. I got
All right,
this.
give up on this
Don't.
loop. Shut it down.
Don't tempt me to write a time loop baseball episode.
It's not linear.
Non-Euclidean baseball. That's not what this episode is. This is not the non-Euclidean baseball episode. This is the time loop episode. So the Iskandar is heading over to the Krasnokov, having established that, yes, this is a time loop. Maybe we have a solution for it.
Yes, Lieutenant Reyes, I believe, is quite confident she has at least what we should do, whether or not it can be done. And for the first time, the Iskandar is like racing towards the Krasnokov.
This is the first time I think that Athan has been sufficiently convinced that no, really, this is a fucking problem, that the Iskandar is going over to the Krasnokov rather than just we'll hail them as we're going past.
Yes, this is, I think, the first
There's
time
no
that she's
actual,
been
like,
directly
urgency
convinced, as
involved.
opposed to being like, I will check it out when I'm goddamn ready, you weirdos.
Yep, exactly that. So the Iskandar zooms over to the Krasnokov.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't take very long, about 15-20 minutes to get over to the Krasnokov, as they are on the other side of the star system. And space is still big, but yeah, it's still a fairly quick jaunt over.
And Star Trek has never decided on anything regarding consistency about going to
Exactly.
warp within the gravitational pull of a star system.
Exactly.
Either it's
So,
like never do
you know,
it, or you do it every day, or it's the plan.
in this case, it's the plan.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, warp your way over.
Okay. Right, just trying to remember the vibes for how Athan's gonna try to crack this. Because I think that we're on to. Okay. If you could hail the Krasnokov as soon as we're in range, Lieutenant Kowalski.
Yes, of course, Captain.
Mrs. Krasnokov, this is Captain Athan of the USS Iskandar. If I could speak with your commanding officer, please. On the phone to go talk to the council about my bill or something. I don't know.
Hello, operator.
I don't know what that was.
Put me through to the Krasnokov.
It's a weird thing to start cold on for Athan, who has the least feelings of any of my characters right now.
The USS Krasnokov answers your slightly odd hail and makes no comments about this. And on screen you see to some of you, familiar.
I don't know who the fuck that is.
Yeah, you don't know who the fuck that is, but some people who are here on the bridge are like, oh, it's her again. Captain Meredith Diamond. Iskandar, how can we help?
Good morning, Captain. I have a matter of some delicacy to discuss with you, if you can give me a moment of your time.
By all means.
Looks about the bridge. Presumably gets actually, who the fuck on the bridge is moral support here? Reyes is
Talandra presumably is on the bridge as like moral support.
Reyes is here as
and then
gremlin support.
There's Reyes and Casey there as gremlin support.
Casey's not gremlin
Oh,
support.
Casey's not gremlin support
doesn't
this time
remember
around.
shit.
No, Casey doesn't know fuck all this time.
He's an idiot boy.
He's an idiot boy again.
Dumb boy.
Okay. Captain, this is going to sound highly peculiar. My crew have evidence to me that due to apparently the experimental faster than light propulsion system, which you are running experiments on and testing aboard your ship.
And I do suddenly have additional questions about how you know that, but carry on.
Yes, quite. So I have no experience of this myself, but it's been evidenced by my crew and by crew members whose judgment I trust implicitly that there is going to be an accident. It is going to go terribly wrong, destroy both of our ships and cause untold damage across this system in approximately X time. And my crew know this because due to the nature of manipulations in space-time and subspace, they have been experiencing the day of the accident over and over again.
Right.
I'm aware this is a bold claim, Captain, so I'm being upfront about it and obviously demonstrating a certain amount that I know something that I have no reason to know.
Well, yes, you certainly have got some information there that I'm not entirely sure how you know that, but yeah, you weren't kidding when you said this was going to be a peculiar one.
Yes, as I say, I'll be happy for my officers to talk about this more with you. But my chief engineer seems quite intent who has recall of this situation, seems quite intent that whatever's going wrong can be addressed from aboard your ship.
I see.
So I would be grateful if at the very least you heard them out directly. It would be best if you spoke to my XO, my chief engineer, my chief of security, who have the current recall understanding and proposals of information apparently gained over the same day several times of how to go forward, and then of course make your judgment accordingly, Captain.
Oh, fair enough. I see no harm in hearing you out and letting you present what evidence you have of this, and indeed what solution you have a proposal for if this is in fact a problem.
Right. Thank you, Captain. May I send them over as a party?
Yes, by all means. I'll transport to Chief.
Thank you. Thon kind of like signs off, looks over at Talandra. You need that's the best way forward then, an away team?
I believe so, Captain, yes.
If you require my assistance in trying to get the captain to cooperate, of course, I'll be happy to be with you. But otherwise, without any particular knowledge of my own, I'm mindful to remain here, monitor the situation, and react if something, I suppose, unexpected, for lack of a better word, happens.
Indeed, Captain, although we may find it difficult to communicate with the ship once we go over there, if past experiences are anything to go by.
All right, who do you need?
Lieutenant Reyes. Regarding the technicians involved, I think Reyes will be best suited to choosing the team, but
Reyes is like, actually, I don't think that I need to bring more of my own people. They're going to know their propulsion systems and mechanisms much better. I think what we need to do is try to lead them through their expertise to the actual solution. And I don't think that Commander Aras is going to be happy if I show up with an entire team of engineers telling her what to do to her ship. Fon kind of looks at her like, okay.
yes, correct. Commander Aras historically has not handled being told what to do with her ship with any great aplomb.
Just the two of you?
Talandra will glance at Zal.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a kind of a single shoulder shrug of like, yeah, I'm down.
Lieutenant Zal as well.
Very well. Do you need Casey? Says phrasing the
reads
question
far
in the
too
way
much into
to
that.
cause the most emotional damage.
Stares hard at his console.
Lieutenant Reyes, is it worth bringing Lieutenant Casey in case he remembers the next time around?
I was hoping on, yeah, sure. I mean, I was hoping on not screwing it up this time.
We can hope that, Lieutenant, but it might not be possible.
Yeah, you can catch up quick. My only thinking otherwise is if we screw up, if we want to salvage it, if something goes wobbly over here, then he's the best qualified person on the bridge to handle it. But sure.
I leave it in
Kowalski
your I leave it in your hands, Lieutenant. I'll go and prepare the shuttle.
Okay. Mike, who do you want to bring? Both, neither, like
entirely up to you if you want to like run the risk of having to sock puppet.
I'm happy to sock puppet. I can manage that. And this is maybe the only time my beautiful blue boy is going to be any degree of worth. Or
you should absolutely bring Zal.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely bring
Also,
Zal.
this is if we nail it, if we're correct, it would feel weird if Casey sat this one out because he's been so involved in previous loops. Was my thinking, and Reyes could go either way. So.
Plus, like, imagine the beginning of the cut to the next scene, and Zal's the one briefing Casey, and
oh yes, and he doesn't
and
have a clue what half the words
tall.
he's saying are.
It's a time
much taller
thing, a rift, a time rift.
There's a hole.
There's an elastic
folding
band
a piece
and a
of
hole.
paper, sticking a pencil through it.
Shoving a pencil. What are you doing?
Shoving a stylus like through a pad.
Why arts and crafts?
I'm not a visual learner. Please stop this. This is
And then
the
you put the elastic
pad.
band on the thing. You go ping, and then the stylus ricochets off the room, embeds itself in the wall.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah,
So we bring both boys.
We bring both boys. Cool. So yeah, you'll troop down to transporter,
Yeah.
or do you?
No,
Are you
we
taking the
do.
transporters,
No,
or
no,
are you taking the shuttle across?
No, fuck that. Hopefully, if we get if like Reyes is thinking will be once we leave, we're on our own, and that's absolutely fine. I don't need people on the Iskandar really any more than I need people on the.
Just without loss of generality, not specifically to this problem. You don't need people on the Iskandar anymore.
I mean, she doesn't. To be fair, he's the least codependent of any other member of the crew. No, my brain was making the face of like Elrod was told he should show up if he wants to help. But like will he? 2, is he actually going to achieve anything other than standing there?
I think Talandra on her way to going is going to ping him just to say that she's going, and won't even say he can come, but will just like wait for his response and base it on that.
I'm going to bring him because otherwise there's a sore risk. Again, I might be being super hyper optimistic about chances of success here. I think we've got it. But yes, he will send a response going, stating if I can be of any assistance, even simply in retaining information, I would be happy to lend aid.
Thank you.
Well, unless my presence on a Starfleet ship conducting experiments on a advanced propulsion system is going to be an obstacle.
Given the circumstances, it's an obstacle I am willing to risk.
Then, all right, we'll show. At the very least, maybe the jocks can do something in the corner, like play patty cake while things are going down.
God.
You know what jocks do.
Yeah, that's definitely what jocks.
Like they're not allowed to throw balls or anything like that, or like run, jump, climb trees. So they're just got to sit in a corner.
I Zal having Elrad as like a father figure breaks my brain. That's not right.
I don't think they're that different in age.
No, that's one of the
not.
reasons why it's bad.
Yeah.
Especially since Zal is like Talandra's old friend, so that would be weird.
Yeah.
That's
He's
going to be
been
part of the
adopting
age regression
Strange,
episode.
Not Zal. And that's weird because he broke Strange's arm that one time.
Good times.
temperature in this fucking place? You know what's not going on with the bells? That's good.
You say that.
Nobody ever hears these bells.
No, they are
It's
going.
Yeah, like
just you.
we don't know what bells these are that Kath keeps hearing.
Kathy
like,
Modo.
None of
am
you
I
are
right?
physically as close to the bells as I am. That's why you can't
Kathy
hear them.
Modo was a great
like
joke.
Kath
Mike
keeps
said.
saying that across all of York there are bells going off.
Everywhere.
I'm also in York. I can't hear these bells. Like,
doxed us from.
Get doxed, idiots.
oh yeah, like people are going to work out where you live from an entire city.
Yeah, what if
We're
they go
gonna
and
track
hang
down-
around where the bells are and wait for...
I know, right? Shit, we're gonna have people turning up
Echolocate
on our
Kath.
doors.
Please don't dox Kath.
Triangulation.
Doxing is very serious, and we don't want you to do it
Yes.
because that's our precious Kath, who deserves the sanctity of her own privacy.
So Kath's address is
List of fears.
bells.
Bells. I'm like fucking Daenerys Targaryen here.
So we're transporting over.
Transporting over, dragging this all the way back. Yes. So you go down to transport. I've lost track. Who's going on this? We've got Zal, we've got Casey, we've got Reyes, we've got Talandra. Is
And
that the party?
Elrad.
And Elrad's going, right? So yeah, the 5 of you can go down to transporter. Linkovich sets everything up and beams you across.
Reyes is looking at like why Elrad's here with like pretty open what the fuckery.
Have they met?
Never met. She has no idea who he is. No, like from her, like she's smart enough to figure. I guess he remembers stuff, but it's still like, why is the Cardassian here?
Can I get one of you just to roll me a quick d6? Because my dice are on the other side of the room and I'm lazy.
5.
Thank. Okay, so Talandra, Casey, Zal, and... right, yeah, just the 3 of you. You get to the Krasnikov first. Where Reyes and Elrod had been stood, there are corresponding kind of flickery beams where they would be transporting in, but they've not quite arrived yet. There's a bit of a problem. Transporter Chief Copra is panicking a little at the controls, trying to get it to transport the other 2 over. And then Reyes and Elrod, you appear. Neither Reyes and Elrod, as far as you're concerned, there has been no time lag.
Mm-hmm.
You just instantly appear. Same as previous.
That was really weird.
What?
You were
You were
late.
somewhat delayed.
Look at the transporter chief. Oh, yeah, of course that happens sometimes, doesn't it?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
You'll find that you're getting a bit of a lag from transporter signal. You don't worry about it.
I would suggest
Right.
not allowing anyone to use the transporters for a little while.
Yeah.
Yes, I was about to suggest that myself.
Commander Ares.
Yes, up on the bridge, I could get
Captain.
one of the
She's-
security officers to
Thank you.
show you the way.
Captain's a bit more chill.
Yes. Yes.
You've met them before then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Vulcans don't lie.
I have met them before.
Yes, it's entirely true as far as you are concerned. So yeah, Radon's security officer will escort you up to the bridge. Those of you who've been here before, it's exactly the same security officer as it always is. Business as usual. Up you go to the bridge of the Krasnikov.
Elrad's like not trying to hide himself, but he's standing right next to the big security officer they've brought with them. Not per se, but to like make it clear, like he's chaperoned, I guess.
Yeah,
is-
like Elrod, you definitely get like a few sideways looks from people in the corridors going, why is there a Cardassian? I mean, he's with
civvies.
He's with Starfleet and in civvies.
Yes.
So you know, there's not like a full like, quick, get him sort of vibe.
Zal's doing affable Bobby smile, like that kind of little nod smile of yes, we're here. Just whoever is daring.
So Zal's a Russian spy and also a demon. Cool.
Seemingly, yes.
That was the twist none of us anticipated.
You would have thought one of the Burovs would have been a Russian spy, but no.
That was a bit too obvious.
Not spies, just crooks or doctors.
I'm a saboteur. I'm in your walls. Don't worry about it.
Except for that time we thought that we were told Burov was a saboteur, and Athan was like, no.
That's true.
I reject your hypothesis. Just
You'll
out of hand.
You'll never see it coming. Imagine the surprise when it is actually me.
Maybe Dr. Burov helped murder those people. No.
Maybe
Dr. Burov killed those people.
I don't care if you show me footage of them doing it. I'm just not buying it. So we go to the bridge with varying
degrees of suspicion. Like, it's less about cooperation and more about suspicion. Like, everybody's cooperating here because you've been invited over by the captain, and like, okay, the Iskandar have brought their pet Cardassian along for the ride. Sure, why not? But like, it looks a little sus. So you get up onto the bridge, and Captain Diamond will come over to greet you. Just quick glances over at the pips that you've all got. So, Commander
Talandra of the USS Iskandar. Captain
Diamond, pleasure to meet you.
I was wondering if we could talk in your ready room.
Yes, of course.
I understand you've been appraised of the situation by our captain.
Only in very broad strokes, I'm afraid. Something about reliving this day in a horrible accident that may or not occur. Priyanka, get in here. And Commander Aras will come over.
Neither of my boys know that this is a problem, so
no. You will forgive us if we must speak quickly, but I do not have perfect memories of what has happened so far. The best memory belongs to Lieutenant Reyes, our chief engineer, who has begun formulating a plan. Needless to say that what is said is true. There is a great danger to both our vessel, your vessel, and the population of the galaxy. We understand that this is a lot to have to deal with very quickly, and that you are reticent to have your technology tampered with. However, given the highly experimental nature of your technology, unfortunately, sometimes unusual side effects can occur. This, it seems, is one of them.
Interesting. So, what have you got to support this theory? I'm not saying I doubt you. I'm just saying, what a
ad comes up.
Lieutenant.
Okay, so once upon a time, as in about some cycles, sorry, time gets a little weird when you're reliving it over and over again. So you're just gonna have to forgive this energy, like I've had a lot of coffee. We were able to essentially leave a dead drop as in a subspace communication because we knew the subspace band that we would be able to detect, and because we knew that some of the time was looping, we managed to place certain records of our findings so that we could find it again. So for starters, just as a little bit of evidence, which, will either make it seem like we've traveled through time repeatedly or that we're spies, let's start with, she'll go up to the display and start pinging up like some of the notes and records which are more relevant to like what the Krasnikov is doing, and like the evidence of their knowledge of this is the Krasnikov's propulsion, this is the gist, this is what's been done, these are the locations of where they've made the jumps, kind of specific details like that.
Yeah, Captain Diamond's kind of just sort of
Mhm.
nodding along. Aris has got her arms folded and a bit of a scowl as she's reviewing what you've put up on there.
So by our best estimation, it would seem that on the last jump between points A and point B, whilst you successfully obviously created the micro wormhole singularity to be able to travel between, it looks as if actually upon exiting, the rift did not close properly. And that is the primary cause of the issue, that in punching the point, at some point, someone always gets a bit of paper together and shoves a pencil between it. And at some point, and then that has been what's causing the issue, that there is a subspace rift, which has been causing warping space-time. Now, at X time, what we kept on experiencing was an explosion of the Krasnikov, which sent a wave through subspace, which caught the Iskandar in its field. Now, we're entering into more of things I suspect rather than things I know, because this is one thing which we only witnessed once. What I believe is going to happen at X time is that the tension of this unbalanced and still open rift is actually going to drag the Krasnikov back through, I suspect, the rift, emerge at the other side, where you will, after being dragged through subspace inadvertently, that's going to cause an enormous amount of strain on the warp core, which will detonate. And then that is going to cause an explosion, which will travel through subspace, which is what captures the Iskandar, even though we were half a light year, if not more, away at the time. And we don't know the after effects because we keep dying at that point.
Right.
So yes, the issue as I see it is the tension. And if this is going to keep happening, obviously only once, but also simultaneously over and over again, that is potentially going to cause more damage to subspace, and things could get, you don't need me to tell you what that could do.
Well, no. Commander Aras pipes up at this point. I'm sure if what you're saying is correct, then yes, you're absolutely right. This would be catastrophic for both our ships and anything else that was in reach of the star system. If you don't mind, I would like to run some of my own scans to verify this, as this is quite a fantastical story that you spun, and I'm not saying you haven't come up along with a lot of good numbers to back this up, but we haven't got anything of our own to verify what you're saying before we start doing anything with this ship.
To the best of my knowledge and our observations, the main points are from your last jump. So if we're at exit point B and entry point A, that from your last jump, those are the coordinates I would scan. It would appear that here at B, the subspace rift is I mean, obviously it's tiny, but is far smaller. And frankly, you'll probably have more success from the Krasnikov than we would ever have from the Iskandar in scanning it. But also, if you look at point A, where you entered, where the subspace rift is somewhat larger, then you should pick something up.
Nice.
I do have ideas on what we can do next, but maybe we'll take it a step at a time.
Yes, I think before we hear anything about what you plan to do with this ship, we're going to need to check that what you say has some kind of validity.
Of course, but just bearing in mind, we have, like, how much time do we have?
At this point, you've got about 2.5 hours, which is the most you've had, because you went over here super quick. So you have an extra hour on what your previous attempts.
Of course, at this point, you have about 2.5 hours.
Right. Well, better make it quick then. Have you got something of what you'd expect us to be finding?
Do you want what we expect to find, or do you want to do the scans yourself?
we'll do the scans ourselves, I think, and then compare with what data you've got.
Especially as actually at no point do we have any scans or what the condition should be at this point in time, because we've never got here at this point in time before.
Right.
Iskandar made it here at full speed as opposed to checking in when it would pass naturally on its journey.
Interesting. Well, Captain, then I'd like to go and get these scans started and see if we can back up what the Iskandar crew have found out. Yes, of course. You go ahead and get that started. In the meantime, so Aris has now just left the room. Anything else you want to pass over to ourselves by way of information at this stage, or?
Nothing. Everything else, I think, is about my theories on what happens next once everyone's on board, and not going to put the cart before the horse on this situation. Don't think I've forgotten anything. Reyes looks, as Kath also looks desperately to the others. And I think I've got the gist of it, although I'm not all pepped up on my technobabble today. I haven't had my technobabble juice.
I do not believe so. I imagine we must wait for what Commander Ares has to say next. Her cooperation is integral to the next stage in the plan.
Yeah.
That part certainly checks out. Priyanka is quite precious about what happens with her ship, which is understandable, as a lot of this work is her own design and her own theories being put into action.
Elrad will straighten up at that point. Captain, I'm aware that my name is Khaled Elrad. I'm a representative from the Cardassian government here on liaison duty with the Iskandar. I've also been experiencing and recalling the events, and I came here because if I'm capable of doing that, if this goes awry, I should be capable of perhaps relaying learned experiences to the future. If you forgive us, we have occasionally had to take a somewhat maudlin approach to the whole affair. I understand, however, it is irregular, perhaps, for me to be here observing the operations of your ship. I will, of course, cooperate fully and take whatever cues or security precautions you require, or even my quarantining from secure locations, if that is necessary. But because of the loop, I fear that I do actually already have a certain amount more understanding. So I would actually suggest...
So it might be worth establishing what you do know then, and then we can establish what security measures we need to have in place, as well, we can't exactly stop you knowing things you already know.
Well, allow me to give you some good news, Captain. I am in no way, shape, or form an engineer, or warp field theoretician, or a subspace expert. So the finer details, in fact, really beyond what Lieutenant Reyes has explained to me, are not only rather eluding me, but I think would be beyond what I could possibly understand with a mere matter of hours, even in your engine room.
Seen an Intrepid class warp core before?
Yes, I have.
Then I think if your background is, as you say, that you are no engineer or warp field theoretician, then there's unlikely to be much more that you could gain from.
I will, of course, once all of this is over, ensure I'm thoroughly debriefed by perhaps representatives of, well, Starfleet Engineering surely first, and if necessary, my own government, to ensure nothing has gone awry.
Sensible plan.
Thank you, Captain.
And unless anybody has anything else they want to say to the captain, or want to go out and poke arrows with a stick.
Reyes does, but she's not gonna. This will help.
Come on.
Listen to me.
Do the scan.
Hey, listen.
So, yes, you resist the urge to go and poke arrows with a stick then. And about 15-20 minutes later, Aras will come back into the ready room with a pad. Right. Let's have a look at what you've got then.
All right. Flick it over. Or however we transmit stuff on
Yeah,
pads.
it's
We
kind
give
of
her
like-
the pad. That's how you work in Star Trek. I have
Yeah,
7
you
pads.
physically
She
physically
gets
Throw it in
one.
her face.
you yeet the pad across the room.
That's how Starfleet works.
No, she'll take the pad from you and then put the 2 sets of data up on a screen, so that you can see them side by side. Right. So this on the left is your data of subspace fluctuations, taken according to your timestamp about half an hour from now.
Yeah.
Sure. And then this here is our own data. Let's see. So you've got that kind of the level of fluctuation there, those kind of gravitational anomalies and fluctuations in space-time. If we have a look at our own, how would you say it was developing from the point where you got this data?
I don't know. Badly, very badly.
Badly. Good technical term there.
Well, it killed us. So as a development, it's not great.
Sure, but there's killing you and there's killing you. Did it develop exponentially? Did it develop in a linear fashion? Was it decaying? How was this? How are these cracks in subspace developing? Have you got some data of how this developed rather than?
This is exponential, isn't it?
I can't remember.
Close enough.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not quite exponential, but good enough.
Not quite exponential, says Reyes. Listen, I've talked some good bullshit before, but I think my bullshitting days have come to an end. Like,
I don't think any of us have got good technobabble brain.
hearts open, brain empty, can't lose.
No thoughts, head empty. Right, so if we extrapolate along the same sorts of lines, and she'll gesture at the screen and do some flickering about on the pad. Let's see, we'll be looking at flicks the new data onto the screen, and the 2 sets look basically identical. Well,
Yeah.
so it looks like there is some truth in this, in what you're saying.
I'd also suggest, point out the fact is that we shouldn't really be able to detect these 2 rifts at that point, and certainly it shouldn't be developing in any particular way.
No.
So that in and of itself is a problem, whether or not you agree it's the exact problem that we're talking about.
Yes, it is certainly a problem. I'm still not entirely convinced that it is, as you say, a time loop, but I do accept that if that were the situation, I wouldn't necessarily know unless I'd worked it out already, like yourselves have.
I'm not sure why the Iskandar seems to have been affected, and to our knowledge, no one on the Krasnikov has ever been affected by reliving. Possibly something to do with proximity. So, if I might, Commander, what would your protocols developed over the course of this propulsion system suggest for addressing an extant rift left in your wake?
Well, with an extant rift left in the wake, that wouldn't. We haven't got protocols in place for an extant rift developing 12 hours after a jump, is the thing. Because that's not something that any of our calculations said should happen. Now, an extant rift immediately in the aftermath, when we've made the jump and the rift's still open, then it becomes a mass sort of manipulation of the warp field, and in some cases shutting down the warp field altogether, to allow the wormhole to close behind us. However, this appears to be something that is developing and worsening over time.
So I'll tell you one thing which hasn't worked. We operated under the theory of making modifications to the Iskandar so that we could equally manipulate a warp field in a focused manner to be able to at least affect the subspace rift. We went to point A, attempted to do that to try to close the rift. Now, for starters, whilst that began to be successful, I don't believe that we had enough power, and frankly my conclusion has been that ad hoc modifications done over a matter of hours, even if we were only trying to achieve a tiny percentage of what the Krasnikov is doing,
you struggle to achieve anywhere near the precision, and that's with you working on it. Even if it was ourselves trying to make the same kind of modifications over an hour, we wouldn't have the same kind of precision, and well, your ship doesn't have the modifications already in place that ours does.
No, so that didn't work, but that was when we witnessed for the first time the site of the explosion, which was the Krasnikov appearing there, and the explosion, which we didn't know had been ever known really where the Krasnikov was when it blew up. Which is why I suspect that the rift is possibly going to expand at this point, and the elastic nature of this micro wormhole anomaly you're gonna get caught in it. We're gonna get caught in it.
Yeah, that's interesting that it's. You sure the ship reappears at the point that we left it at?
Not entirely, because my recollections of that moment are not entirely perfect, but it seems to be that we were at the far end, point A, and the Krasnikov was what appeared when we were unable to.
It pings back to the other end.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Some sort of gravitational pull or something to do with with connections between. Oh yeah, I mean, there's some aspects here. We've got some notes of like minor errors. Errors is too strong a word. Minor points in the calibrations which could be adjusted, but made things exponentially worse because it happening hypothetically over and over again. I'm not sure.
Interesting.
What I've hypothesized instead as a possible solution, and you'd absolutely have a better idea of how to do it and whether or not it will work than me, is to repeat the jump through the exact same coordinates to try to, and then use correcting the recalibrations which need to be done to the warp field manipulations, and try essentially like, and then try for that to seal the rift. Essentially, like if a wound heals badly, you might, or is starting to heal badly, you might cut it and then stitch it up properly.
Interesting.
And if we recalibrate the engines and the warp field manipulation properly, then that might do it.
Does that sound plausible, Commander? I certainly shut up.
Angry Scouser a bit.
No, you've been good this time.
Yeah, Reyes is on her best fucking behavior.
You're on your best behavior. You're not trying to wind her up, and you've presented her with, here is data, rather than just listen here, you little fuck.
Don't worry, it won't last.
Oh, I'm sure it won't. But you've started her off on the right track of, look, we know it sounds weird, but here's a bunch of info. Have a look at it yourself. We're not going to tell you what to do with your ship. It's your baby. Softly, softly. It certainly sounds plausible. of course, to check whether this proposal's the solution, we'll have to go and have a look at what's going on in engineering and see what we can establish with this data that you say needs recalibrating, and with the manipulation of the warp field that you say needs adjusting. But based on the data that we've got here, Captain, I'm actually inclined to believe them.
Yes. Sorry, that's kind of new.
Philandra gives her an eyebrow raise, but then turns to the captain with that sort of satisfied look of,
Right.
We've acquired more data since the last time we came over here to talk to you.
Of course. Yes. Well, Commander, if you will show them down to engineering and get started on fixing this problem. It sounds like if this is as serious as this looks, we don't have a lot of time to deal with this problem.
We don't. Lieutenant Casey throws him a pad.
Oh God, hold on, let me roll.
Yeah, give me. I think that'd be an athletics check.
Athletics.
Yeah, make an athletics check to not get beamed in the face with
make
this
an athletics
pad.
check, nerd.
He's only on a -1 from the die, and I think he's got quite decent athletics.
Does he?
He's a
But
rock
is
climber.
He's a rock climber.
He's not.
Oh,
he isn't
yeah.
a weed. We just think he's a weed. Ursula too.
He just doesn't pay
Yeah.
a lot of
Oh, dang.
attention. He's not necessarily a weed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's actually got 3 in athletics.
Mm.
Yeah.
Dang. Guess he could break Strange in half.
Yeah, like if you look, his lower skills are like notice, empathy, rapport.
I mean, he has them, which
Yeah, like it notice isn't one of his worst skills. Empathy and rapport, those are his worst skills. So he can notice things better than he could people things, but he still lifts better than he peoples and notices.
He could see a social situation getting worse. He just doesn't know how to navigate out of it. But catching a pad, he manages this time. I've forgotten what I'm doing with it.
you catch
Okay,
a. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
no, I
So
can tell you.
So the boys caught the pad, and now he's just sort of frozen in fear while Kat remembers what's going on.
You can look there. You've got the calibrations of the warp core and the warp field manipulations going on down there, and we've compared it and identified the errors. So I want you to start figuring out the exact correct calibrations, or at least double check the maths that I've put in there. Just double check my maths. That's your job.
Absolutely. It's a nice job to have. He doesn't want to die. And for him, this is his first go around this time, so middling in thoughts.
As far as he's aware, he's not died several times already. So yes, you start work on. So what are you trying to get Casey to do with this? Sorry.
Casey's kind of double checking like records and figures that we had before, especially considering the dead drop is a pile of data without much context, and Reyes's constant memories spilling over each other is not necessary. Is helping her think big picture, yes, detail, no. So she's actually
So
banking on Casey to be a fresh pair of eyes without her either getting the wrong memory mixed up or too much double think.
Yeah. Cool. Yep. So yeah, you can set up Casey as being your external brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, good.
Good. And the 5 of you
Mm-hmm.
can go down to engineering. Assuming that all 5 of you want to go down to engineering.
Yeah.
5 go down to engineering was a weird Enid Blyton book.
I really liked 5 go down to engineering.
Yeah, I know
It's one of
you
my
did.
favourite
I feel it
ones.
was formative for you.
Yeah, it kind of was, to be honest. Not as much as the Secret 7 one where they started the Mars colony, but so yes, you needed blighting your way down to engineering, and you're in front of a warp core, which to you, Reyes, and to Talandra looks very familiar. To the other 3, you've never seen this before.
Remind me how different it looks to just like even from a percentage difference rather than necessarily a details difference.
So like it is 90% the same as, or maybe 85% the same as the Iskandar's warp core. There are some bits where it looks a bit more stripped back, and some bits where it looks like some extra stuff has been bolted on, giving it a bit more of a kind of a prototypey look, and some bits that are just like, oh wait, no, that doesn't go there normally, to a casual observer.
Rhea sort of walks in, looks. Okay, yeah. Lieutenant Case, I'm going to need you to be double checking. I want you to double check any of the scientific principles or not principles, but any of the calculations that I am dishing out. Or, yeah.
Okay.
Right, so what which parts were you saying needed
Right.
establishing? Let's see.
Over here and walk through it step by step so that I don't miss a stage.
Yes. So you're saying this is a problem caused by previous jumps.
Yes.
And that the Krasnikov is reappearing back at the place that we last jumped from.
Yeah, best of my knowledge. Unless I
Right.
don't believe that the Iskandar was the one which moved.
Right. Let's start with this data over with this console over here then, and have a look at the warp field intensity data on here, and she'll start walking you through various bits. Make me an engineering check if you're involved in this. So anybody else,
get out of here.
Anybody else that wants to be poking the thing can make engineering checks as well. It's not
6.
just Reyes. Anybody else joining in on the totes fun
Dragging Casey along.
warp manipulation party?
That's just a +2 from Talandra to just. She isn't poking. She is just like
Observing.
Yeah.
6 from me.
6 from you. Yep.
5.
Cool. Know your place.
Didn't roll very well.
Less engineering than the chief engineer. That is where Casey belongs. Unless that was Zal's role.
Oh no. Hold on. Let's for shiggles.
Make that powder cake roll.
For shiggles. Go on.
Yeah, what's
Oh
that?
my god.
Oh, he has a rank in engineering.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're
I guess
not-
Zal doesn't.
Oh, I gets a 2.
If I remember rightly.
No, but Zal just rolled a 5, but we're not using it. He's not like an idiot savant for engineering.
Sala stood at the back and he's just remembering the things that are said. Like,
Yeah, that role will give him a slight advantage if he remembers ever again. Not even time loop wise.
Just
If
ever.
he remembers.
Yes, in future. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna. As soon as you said that, I was like, right, I know what Zal's getting, but you said he doesn't get anything, so darn. Fine, be like that. We'll not have Zal solve the plot.
Imagine how mad Reyes would be. He just like leans over her shoulder and switches one button, and there's like doo, and like a fanfare.
Gonna yeet him into the warp core.
No, it's not even he presses a switch. It's he goes over to one bit and lifts it. It's not like a button or a thing on a console or anything engineering.
rebalances
inside-
it.
This is
He
based
just-
out of
He
shape.
just literally physically rebalances the warp core, and that fixes the problem.
Should have brought me first time. Like
That have been solved ages ago.
dab some leaves.
That was Hysteresis, folks. Dragging this back from that the trouser leg of time. That might be next loop. In this universe, Reyes and Casey, what Commander Ara's kind of talks you through. For Reyes, this all matches a lot of stuff that you've heard before when looking at the data, where you have that kind of very slight but systematic error that crept in on previous jumps that's got worse and worse and worse because it was within error bars each time. Casey, you spot for what you feel is the first time that there is a systematic error that has crept in because it was within error bars each time. And feel really smart when you notice it. And then Reyes goes, yeah, we've seen this before. And you go, oh.
Shut up, Casey.
I thought I was being a smart boy.
Slap his hand away from the pad.
Did you know that there's an error here? Yes, Casey, that's why we're here.
We should all start doing this whenever he points things out. He's like, I figured this out. We had that earlier.
We had that 3 loops ago. Oh. So you spot that there's those same errors again. And then you go over to looking at the warp core itself and what it's doing now in terms of where, the warp field and the singularity is now, which is not something you've really looked at before, because in previous times you've gone, oh, well, the engine is off.
Yeah.
Nothing is being generated, therefore we don't need to look at this. But you go over and look at it, and there is still some residual trace of the singularity still in place.
As in the subspace displacement field is still there.
Is still active. Very slightly, very faintly, but there is still, to return all the way back to the pen, paper, and rubber band analogy, there is still some tension in that elastic band,
connecting,
and it's still pinned at both this end and at the end that it's just left.
And the Krasnikov.
Yeah, it's at the Krasnikov and at the other end.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still just that little, very, very slight,
there
but still there.
Commander Aris, do you see this?
Huh.
That's why you ended up getting dragged back through.
There's still a link.
Because I assume that you need to obviously connect, because it's your warp field which is creating it, which is manipulating subspace. And if it didn't detach fully, you haven't finished the full process.
We are, in a way, according to how this, well, put crudely, as far as the warp field's concerned, we haven't finished travelling over here.
Which is creating the tension, which is why it's eventually going to snap.
Yeah.
Okay. How do we
force a disconnect somehow? That's what we need to do.
Well, if you want to essentially come to a colloquially framed full stop while at warp, you need to try to manipulate it to create a broad spectrum warp field or an inverse warp field, which might be something which could seal the fissure.
Perhaps.
But that is not that will take some modifications or at least adjustments to be able to do.
Yes, and from what you've said, it sounds like we won't have that kind of time to make that work.
What happens if we, right, hypotheticals, what would happen if we returned to point A through the rift, riding it under our own, in a controlled manner, as opposed to. Is that going to disconnect? Returning back through.
It would put us back. It would probably put us back through to effectively where we set off from. But the way that this works is we effectively set a point that we then kind of connect ourselves to. We travel through, and then the other end comes back with us. If we've
this time the other end hasn't come back with.
This time the other end hasn't come back, and as effectively, it's like we're still trying to travel through here. Then when that collapses and doesn't quite happen, we're dragged back. It sounds like from what you said, we're dragged back through, and then
that's going to cause enormous stress upon everything. Okay, so
what that might risk if we just travel back is that this end stays connected.
Of course, the problem is other ways of collapsing a warp field are incredibly disruptive. You know, we're not going to drop a graviton burst on the area, which could travel through subspace and do who the hell knows what.
Yeah. Can you make? Yeah, I figured you've chewed on this long enough. Yes. I'm now going to give you more GM help on it. So give me science checks, I think, for this one. Give me just a sec. That feels more like a science check than an engineering check because you're not actually. Yeah, because you're not actually working the machinery yet. So I think Reyes has scienced all the science that could ever science, and Casey, you're out of a job.
I did. I was very rude.
I'm on a 3.
Wow.
I got a plus
3 on the
5.
dice or total?
3 total.
Oh no.
Oh boy. Yeah. Do you want to be the smartest mind of your generation at all?
I will warn you, I got a critical success.
Yeah, I don't think I need to.
You don't need to, but like if you want to look less dumb,
Zal got a 4.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh yeah, what's Caleb Elroy got? He doesn't have any ranks in science.
That's because science is a girl thing on Cardassia.
That's true. He got a -4.
Well, at least the guy who has literally no science at all hasn't.
He's like at the vending machine by now.
Elrod's like, it's like this, and Talandra's like, no.
No.
Babe, no.
Honey, no.
Shush, darling. The scientist's talking.
Oh, you're so cute.
Aww.
No thoughts. Head empty. Talandra?
I got a 2, so like.
Oh, okay, cool. So
I'm following again.
You can
Talandra
keep
is
up,
following along.
Yeah. So Casey and Talandra, you will manage to be kind of keeping up with the conversation and getting a vague idea of, okay, but this sensor does this end and this ends with this sensor. How do we make the thing do the thing? Elrod, you're like, what? You're lost. You were lost basically from the moment you walked in here. We're like, well, I've seen it at Shepherd Walk Court before, but this has got things on it and it's missing other things.
His knowledge of engineering is highly practical. This is not it.
This is not your type of engineering. Zal, you're surprised that you're following the conversation as well as you are, but because it's being explained in relatively simple terms, aside from the occasional use of wild science terminology, like this ends at this end and this ends at this end and it go ping. Yeah, that makes sense. That Reyes with the 5.
With the 8 in total.
Oh fuck! With the
yeah,
8
it was a plus
total,
5 on
bad.
the dice. It was a crit success on the dice.
Yeah, in fact, absolutely. With a critical success on the dice, you can have this little brainwave.
Light bulb. Let's write this
Ping.
shit down in case I need to remember this.
So, when the Krasnikov creates a new singularity to go through, it kind of connects itself to another end. At the moment, it's still partly connected at the other end and trying to reach where it is now. What if, to disconnect it from the end that it's come from, you set up a new warp field to where it already is?
So essentially repeat the jump, but from B to A instead of A to B.
No. Not so it's not going from here to here.
Yeah.
Krasnikov's here.
Yeah.
Came from here.
Yeah.
And
the link is back to
it's still got the link back to A as if it was traveling from A to B. So what if it, instead of having that link that's there, you bring the link to here and travel from B to B?
Set up a new link for them. That's cunning. Okay. If we would create a new jump, this is mostly to Uraz, then that would create us a new anchor point.
Yeah, you'd effectively be connecting the Krasnikov to somewhere else,
which would theoretically at least redirect it so we wouldn't still be anchored to the original point.
Potentially, but as far as the Krasnikov's concerned, it is still trying to travel to where we are now.
So that's the issue. It believes we're not quite there. It's like at the 99.9, probably so far as it's concerned, we're 99.9999999% of the way
exactly,
there, but can't finish the shunt.
But can't finish the shunt. Exactly. So we need some way of getting it to kind of complete the jump, I suppose.
And obviously, if we were to go physically, well, actually, I'm not sure we've got the time to travel. And also, I'm not sure we want to go to warp. So we can't go back to point A, repeat the jump. If we go back to point B, that doesn't.
Well, I mean, we could go down back to the point that we came across, that we left in the first place, going the slow route, if you like at a slow impulse, and then maybe repeat the jump from there. But getting back over there at a slow enough speed that I'd be willing to chance it at,
it's not enough time. What if we do a micro jump from our present location here to the same exact end coordinates of the previous jump? If there's been an issue within subspace, if a subspace layer has become displaced in some way, or that the calculations are somewhat off, if we don't repeat the jump, we create a new jump, but make sure that we finish the loop.
Effectively reset it so that it's trying to still finish the jump, but isn't tied to the place that it started off in from the one that's causing all the problems.
I think it's possible that the calculations have included we're in the right place in space-time, but maybe not in subspace, that if there is any kind of a misalignment on that basis, that's why it's not recognizing that we've completed the jump. So we complete the jump with the correct calculations and calibrations, and that might seal it.
That might work.
But we've got to get it 120% correct.
Got to get it completely correct and try it. This is, perhaps unsurprisingly, this is not set up to transport the ship to its own location.
Yeah.
As I'm sure most ships are not set up to warp jump to where they already are. So, what we're going to need to set up, we're going to have to find a way of getting the targeting of the other end of the singularity to even be able to recognize its present location and not immediately go, but you're already there.
We're going to have to calculate that. Not exactly by hand, but we're probably going to have to turn off an awful lot of automation.
Yes. This is going to have to be done, as you say, semi-manually. Not by hand, but we can't use just the automatic targeting methods.
Right. Well,
Right.
we'll make sure that all of our readings of subspace are correct so that we're actually targeting the right endpoint. And then not only do we need to replicate the endpoint of the last jump, but making adjustments for the modification. So Casey, based off the minor discrepancies in the calibrations repeatedly, I need you to come back and compensate and calculate the actual end location of the last jump.
Yes, Lieutenant.
Right. And we'll see what we get from that location, while probably... What do you need me to do, Commander Araz, in trying to convince the ship to do this jump?
It's mostly going to be having a look at the navigational computers and trying to effectively override anything that says you can't have a jump that small. So I think that sounds like a problem for being done in the astrometrics bay.
Yeah.
Sorry, as you spark up there.
Astrometrics. Yeah.
Talandra's favourite place. So some of the work's going to have to be done from here, some of the work's going to have to be done from astrometrics, and I think the final push, if you like, of making the jump, that's going to have to be from the bridge.
Yeah.
So I think for now, we'll need some of us here making adjustments to the warp field, getting rid of this systematic error that we've had all along, so that we don't just make the problem worse.
Yeah.
Getting rid of compensating for the fact that there's still a bit of a warp field going on and still a bit of a link back to where we came from, and getting the deflector arrays set up so that they focus over a much shorter distance. And then over in astrometrics, we're going to need somebody effectively semi-manually working the navigational computers.
Well,
who's volunteering for what?
I'll stay down here with you.
I shall be in astrometrics.
Nice. Where's Casey and Zal going?
I don't know.
Do you want to dick about with astrometrics? Let's start with Casey.
If astrometrics is going to get the most benefit from the order of compensating for the irregularities, then yes, astrometrics is where he'll go.
Yeah, that's basically figuring out the endpoint was really what, like the actual coordinates are correct as opposed to what we think they are, was what Reyes kind of meant.
Yeah, figuring out the correct coordinates, getting that kind of fine detail into place, and then making the computer do the thing.
Yep, astrometrics it is.
Cool. So Casey and Talandra off to astrometrics.
Rad will go as well, I guess. Like, what the fuck are you going to do down here?
Go where the Vulcan...
To astrometrics.
He's just going to go down there and do some push-ups or something, I don't know.
And Zal can stay in engineering then to do push-ups here.
For here, yeah.
We're doing
the thing we were missing the whole time.
Yeah, we didn't have the jocks for like support push-ups.
You need the jocks there as muscular support.
Hello, I'm Talandra. I'm the prep first officer. This is my jock boyfriend and my nerd son.
My gremlin engineer.
Yeah, Ray just pops out of the nearest refugees and hisses.
I defy your jock nerd bullshit.
I defy your jock nerd bullshit and substitute my possum own.
Oh, spoken like a true nerd, to be honest.
Yeah.
Fair. As someone whose alignment on that chart probably is possum nerd, as opposed to jock nerd or prep nerd. Yeah, fair. So yes, you go your separate ways, and I think at that point we'll take a short break. Or unless people want to just power through at this stage.
No, that
Sounds
seems
like a good break.
Yeah,
It
good
feels
break
like
point.
it's a good break point. So
Point break.
Point break.
I'm not pushing the out button until someone says we're out, because every time
We're
I do
out!
that, I get yelled at.
Bye!
Bye.
Welcome back, folks. To Mike's just having a moment there.
I was
Mike
pretending to be surprised that we were live.
Mike thinks that this is like the 8th time that we've gone live today. It's not. I've tried to convince him that this isn't actually a time loop in reality, that my powers don't stretch that far, or if they do, I choose not to make them stretch that far and choose not to use them on reality, because, you know, I'm saving that for a special occasion, but he just doesn't believe me. Oh well. One day he'll realise that, yeah, I don't always use my powers for evil.
You've not gone that method.
Just sometimes use my powers for evil. But yes, so when we left off, we're just going to dive straight back in on this. We left off with Talandra and Casey heading off to the astrometrics bay of the USS Krasnikov, and with Zal there to provide... No, Elrad, sorry. Elrad's going to astrometrics to provide push-up support. Zal is providing push-up support in engineering with Reyes. And Aras, I guess.
Rayaras.
Raras.
That's the ship name.
Hate it. or it's a northern ship name. It's Arias.
Suggestions welcome in chat for how you want to ship these two together.
Just put them in a sack and watch them kill each other.
Rivals to lovers to rivals again.
Yes.
Rivals to rivals. To
I was going to say rivals to rivals who bang, I think is, more.
I'm here for it.
Submit your fanfic at. So let's see. Do we want to start with engineering or astrometrics? Let's start with engineering. That feels like the best logical progression of this. So in engineering, you and Commander Aras are having a look at the warp, the part of the warp core that focuses the warp field and creates the singularity, and getting it to not have the systematic error that it's been having on the previous jumps, and B, focus in a way that when you target effectively yourself, it actually works and doesn't just go error, panic.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of clever things to bullshit, and I'm running out of clever things to bullshit.
Like this has been 4.5 sessions of clever things to bullshit, and a lot of it's been quite repetitive. So like, this is fine.
It's walking the line between like good Technobabble and Voyager level Technobabble.
It is a bit.
Because...
For which I apologise. That
No.
We've to the level of Voyager Technobabble.
No, it's more in terms of when I go to Memory Alpha for like what Technobabble can I loot. You eventually get for like this is a logical extrapolation of the Trek science that already exists, and then this is Voyager Technobabble, which is just
to check deflector dish.
Yes, which is absolutely she's just sick basic.
Thanks, say Hyperion.
Thanks, Voyager. Yeah, so I guess like Reyes is going to suggest that they start out almost trying to convince the computer that what they are almost doing is like a model building exercise, as opposed to actually trying to convince it we're going to trick the computer. We'll say that this is a hypothetical and then force it to do it once we've got everything programmed in.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, I like that. And building it as a model, and then go, and now run the model as reality, and the computer goes, what? Then you say, do it, bitch, and it does it.
Possibly also modulations on the extant warp field, which has already been created, which would be a way of mirroring of the same way that one manipulates it to join warp fields with other ships at warp, either to bring them into warp or to bring them with you, and to to converge and match warp fields. So do it as a model and then try to do it as a manipulation of the extant warp model, warp field,
Nice.
rather than try to force it to create a whole new one.
Yep, I like that. Give me an engineering check then.
Right, come on.
That's a face that says not great, not terrible.
Yeah, it's a flat nothing on the dice, so that's still a 5.
So still a 5. Yeah, that's probably enough for it.
Yeah. Is this going to be crunch time, or should I save my aspects for crunch time?
Crunch time.
Is this crunch time?
It feels like crunch time to me.
I will spend a fate point and
Oh.
use invoke these ships don't work without a team, because this is
Yeah,
going
because
with,
you're working with arrows on it.
and this is all the result of like Philandra and Casey's past
Yeah, definitely.
research, including several cycles which Reyes did nothing but was there for the ride.
Yeah.
So we'll spend. A fate
Are we
point.
doing this with little shots of like
Oh,
previous loops where
absolutely.
like they're doing things and like exchanging notes, and Reyes is like
Mhm.
synthesizing that across time?
Reyes is
Absolutely.
double
If this-
checking those notes and Araz quite a lot, because Reyes is struggling to differentiate her memories from which time, and also sometimes she's just died from on the Iskandar bridge while getting weird shit. So
It's
it's
true.
all just a
It's
bit.
true.
bit
Well,
loopy.
Whilst Reyes is struggling to differentiate the memories, right? Arrow's is quite capable of integrating all of this
Mhm.
together. So, by your powers combined, you managed to make you set up the model in the computer of what if
Mhm.
fly to same place we already are, and the computer frowns a bit at that and goes, "You what, mate?" You override the kind of the data errors that's sticking out where it's saying cannot compute, and you go, "Yes, you can."
Mhm.
And adjust things such that it ignores those data errors and ignores those data warnings and
Yeah.
produces what looks like a working model. And then you go into the details of it and effectively debug it so that it's no longer having the errors that have been spotted previously. You take those out, you make the necessary adjustments to it, adjusting what intensity would the warp field need to be at, how long would the warp field need to be focused on one spot for, slight adjustments in direction, that kind of thing. And you end up with a working model of how the ship could fly to where it already is.
Now, if we convince it we're just doing a modification of the current journey rather than a whole new one, but actually we do a whole new one,
Then, yeah, this could work.
oh, if not, we'll try again next time.
You've definitely not tried this one before, have you?
No, actually never tried directly doing anything else on the ship before, just a couple of times being here knowing that we were going to die trying to record information. Shit.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah, don't like it.
No, I wouldn't either. Meanwhile, in astrometrics, so you two, the three of you, in fact, but Zal's mostly just sort of there to look pretty.
We
It's
took
Elrad who's there
Elrad.
to look pretty.
You kept Zal.
Elrad, fuck's sake!
Yeah.
Zal did everything he needed to do in this scene, which is go.
He was doing push-ups in the background.
For watching,
Backflipping.
if you want to go
No,
back and watch
the-
Mike during that whole scene, you'll see him completely staying in face
Yeah,
character the whole
absolutely.
time.
Nope, that's on me for completely ignoring the fact that Zal was in the background, grabbing just random engineering engines and bench pressing them for a bit.
I've just ruined myself by connecting the dots between Zal and the new DuckTales launch pad, and that's.
I'm a pilot.
Yeah.
I'm a pilot. I love Launchpad. Launchpad is my comfort himbo.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some clips for us later. We're gonna have a
Okay,
good time with
That
that.
man is
Do
my
that,
comfort
buddy.
himbo, and you owe me £5. Oh, what a good boy.
Well, the phrase comfort himbo has been used, so that sounds like it's appropriate for Zal. Meanwhile, over with the less comforting himbo,
Yeah, not a comfort himbo.
less
Hey.
comforting himbo, Talandra finds
Bumpy
some comfort.
himbo.
Please never use that phrase again,
Um,
Michael.
Talandra has a
Can
very
we ban Michael?
Talandra has a very unique taste in himbos. She likes her himbos actually painfully intelligent.
She's just not good with himbos, really.
She's like, he's a himbo. Talandra, he's a very smart former gull who's interested in philosophy and politics.
He has a law rank of 4. Excuse me.
Yes, but he doesn't know the science.
Yeah, he's a humanities nerd.
Yeah. Which, makes him a himbo. That's how this works, right? I'm gonna stop putting you all in the bin.
I'm not a humanities person. I have an MSc. Fuck you.
Yeah, I'm the Bahans. I'm the honors degree in the arts and humanities.
I mean, technically, so am I.
You're a woman in STEM.
Fuck off.
Well,
as far as anyway.
yeah.
So yes, over in Astrometrics with Casey, Talandra, and Elrad.
Mhm.
The setup in the Astrometrics on the Krasnikov looks very similar to the Iskandar. It's quite comforting in a way, except what's on the consoles is quite different because of the difference between how a regular, normal, sensible ship does warp and the bullshit that the Krasnikov's doing. However, fortunately, Talandra, you're familiar with this sort of stuff because you've read this data many times.
Yeah,
You're not sure how many times you've read this. It could be a lot, might only be a couple, but it looks very familiar to you.
I think the situation is that she remembers it enough that she can do things and
Yeah,
she
yeah,
can
yeah.
give throwaway instructions to Casey, who can pick them up very quickly because he knows the astrometrics layout.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and she can give like the third tasks to Elrad, who like doesn't really know what he's doing, but can be like, can you read me off that? Can you do this?
Yeah.
I love it. Like Talandra and Casey, like Casey's finishing Talandra's sentences so she can just move on to the other thing, and he's just like doing this and this. Yes, got it, and then just carrying on.
It's actually quite nice because I think Elrad's seeing Talandra in an element that she doesn't get to be in very often, which is like working in sync with her mentee. Like she and Casey have an incredibly good working rapport, and like
This is what your girlfriend and her son look like when they're working together.
family. It's nice. She doesn't have this with many people. But nevertheless, like Talandra is going around like basically setting things up that will liaise with engineering when they need it. Like she's just doing a lot of calibrating.
Yeah, absolutely. Make me a science check.
Can I make a beg for piloting? Because what I'm doing is map based, and
No.
if we were on the bridge, this would be a pilot role.
Yes, but you're not on the bridge. If this was the point where you're actually going, entering coordinates and go, then I'd say yes. But because you're not using just the regular ship systems to go entering coordinates and go, you're having to tell a computer, yes, I know the coordinates are stupid. You're going to do the coordinates anyway.
Understood. Then that is a +2. That's a
Cool.
+2.
What was that on the dice? That sounds like it's -2 on the dice, if I remember right. For
Yeah,
Talandra.
+1 on the dice. She's not an exceptional scientist.
Oh, I thought she had much higher science than that. My bad.
No. Her law is +2. Her science is just +1.
Operations was pretty good. If that's a better
Yeah, my
argument
ops is
for-
my ops is +3.
Yeah, I could see a better argument for ops than for pilots if you want to
That's
use
+4
pilot.
then. I'd like to use it.
Use ops instead. Thank you.
Thank you, Kath.
Thank Cash.
But I'm gonna see what if Casey's rolling as well. I want to see what Casey gets.
Yeah,
I'm also on
science
a
boy
4.
rollers.
A 4 as
Cool.
well. Okay.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool.
We're nice and cozy in Four Town here, which is great.
Yeah, we did great.
Yeah.
High five.
Four's still pretty good. So, yeah, like it takes a bit more work than you might have expected because there are bigger differences between the astrometrics setup inside the computers on the Krasnikov.
It probably leads
versus
to
the
more
Iskandar.
things being handed off to Elrad as like,
Yeah,
hey, can you
absolutely.
read us what that says? That hasn't been calibrated quite the same. Can
He
you read
knows
that
how
one?
to be a good bridge officer, so that's
Yeah.
what he can do.
Yeah. And then the computer chucks out a couple more errors than you might have expected when you initially try and get it to send coordinates to itself. But you make it work. And the coordinates are set up, ready to go just as soon as engineering is ready. And I think, given that you're taking a little bit longer, at about that point, I'm gonna have Aras, Reyes, and Zal come in from engineering. Right, how's going on in here?
We are almost completed calibrating the deflector, all right?
All right. I think we're good for our adjustments to the warp field modulator.
Lieutenant Casey, is your readout within acceptable parameters?
Absolutely. Anything more and I would just be second guessing myself.
Mr. Elrad, a final readout, if you will.
Everything looks within expected parameters.
Then I am content, Lieutenant Commander, to hand off to you. We have done the best we can.
Right. Up to the bridge it is, and see if this works.
All right.
And you'll troop up to the bridge. I'm not going to sock puppet it because I'm going to decide I don't want to jump between accents that much.
That's fine. I think you can.
So I'm
Paint
going
us
to
a picture.
I'm going to paint you a word picture like a GM might. I know, right? Wild concept. So yeah, you go onto the bridge. Commander Aras takes the lead, talking to Captain Diamond, talks her through. These are the changes we've made. These are the suggestions that have come from yourselves, and explains the procedure. That is that they will now effectively make the ship do one of its jumps, but to the location you're already at. Captain Diamond kind of nods. Looks a little lost in some places, and Reyes and Talandra, you can jump in and help kind of bolster what Aras has been saying. And eventually Captain Diamond goes, right, well, bridge crew prepare for jump, and they all scatter to their various stations. Do you five want to be on here, or do you want to go back to the Iskandar for this part?
I want to watch.
Entirely your choice. You want to stay here? The rest of you?
I think it is for the best, yes.
Yes.
Very well. Let me just get my NPC names. Right. Mackenzie, take us out. Aye, Captain, comes the helm officer. And the Krasnikov jumps. There is some shaking of the ship as it starts to go. Yeah, exactly. There's a faint whine that grows in pitch. A green light comes out the front of out of the Krasnikov as the warp field focuses in front of it and sets a new target, a new location to jump to. The green light grows brighter and brighter until it's almost blinding white. And then it is stardate 57394.92 mid-afternoon. The Iskandar is in position next to the USS Krasnikov in the 31 Cygni system. The Krasnikov is exactly where you left it when it jumped. The systems on the Krasnikov appear to be running smoothly. The Iskandar is still there.
That's good. Imagine we live on the Krasnikov now.
Yes, we're starting a new show now called USS Krasnikov or Star Trek Krasnikov rather than Star Trek Iskandar. Surprise! No, everything is fairly quiet.
We did it.
I think we did it.
Yes.
Seems
You check
so.
against you check the data against your pads. You check the current time against what is on your pads.
The singularity.
One sec. Goes and checks. No traces of the subspace fractures. No sign of the singularity behind us. That looks like it is closed.
Hell yeah.
Nice work.
Stares. It very kind of stares at Casey. Huh.
What?
Feel normal, Lieutenant?
Yes.
Okay.
Lieutenant Commander Talandra to the USS Iskandar.
Yep. Communications are fine.
Iskandar here.
All well aboard the Iskandar, Captain?
Yes, we picked up a somewhat of a strange modulation in sort of subspace for about a moment there, but everything seems fine from here. I assume that was you?
Indeed, Captain. Not to be cautiously optimistic, but I believe the situation is resolved.
Very good work, Commander.
I shall report more upon my return to the Iskandar, Captain.
Of course, finish up everything that you need to, and we'll, of course, cooperate with any debriefings that Captain Diamond wants to have run, but return when you're ready, Exa.
Thank you, Captain. And Talandra sort of tunes out and then just sort of stops and sort of glances at the at Captain Diamond and Reyes in a sort of.
I think we're done here.
Then
Yes, it looks like whatever issue it was we were having looks to be, and she looks over at Aras, who gives a nod. Well, looks like it's resolved.
Obviously, we've got a copy of the dead drop, all of our findings. We're happy to write up a further report based on what we remember and send it probably to you here, and then you can incorporate
that would be
it
much appreciated, so we can
into-
include it in future.
Yes, Captain, I'm confident
work.
a full debrief ought to be had, but regarding our, can't remember what the word is, liberty to talk on a thing, like license, like what is this? It's classified. Given our given the classified nature of this project, we it would probably be best for you to speak with our captain regarding what reports we should and should not make to Starfleet.
Yes, of course, but certainly between our two ships, we would be very much appreciative of getting a copy of the report that you have, so that we have that information available to ourselves for future research.
Should you need us to, we are happy to stay and undo the calibrations that we did, but I understand that that might be something that your ship would prefer to do.
Aras will pipe up. I think that's something we can manage ourselves.
Very well. It would have been impolite not to have asked.
And grateful that you asked rather than just went ahead and did it.
Then we
Thank you.
shall return to the Iskandar and be ready to return and report should you need to. I imagine our ships will remain in proximity for a short while.
Very good. I'll let Transport's Chief Copra know that you're on your way down to him.
Thank you, Commander. Captain. And then Talandra will look at Nerd Squad and Jock Squad and be like, come on then, kids, let's go home.
Let's boogie.
I think the huge question that I only just realized that Reyes was checking in on was, what do people who didn't remember previous loops remember?
So, people who didn't remember previous loops this time round.
Like, either's big. Either is huge, right? If it's you remember everything, that's huge. If it's you only remember the last loop you were on, that's huge.
Unfortunately, the answer I'm going to go with is neither of those.
Oh my god.
I know, right?
You don't know anything. You forget who are you.
You forget everything you ever knew. This is like a whole new universe. You don't know who any of these people. No. What happens for the folk who don't really didn't remember this time round? You suddenly become somewhat aware. You don't remember everything, but you become somewhat aware that now things are different. You become aware that you have done things before. Anything that particularly stands out, you might be able to remember any particularly notable things that happened during loops, or particular details, but it's a little fuzzy. And for people who lived through the loop several times, details are starting to get a little more sketchy. Like, you still remember you went through the loops, but it's not like you go, oh god, I lived through 5 days at once.
I remember dying over.
I remember.
And over.
Oh no, you know, if you want to remember dying a lot, if that's going to be a thing that's particularly noticeable, then yeah. But you won't remember, like, you know, the actual details of, for instance, how much it hurt when you blew up all those other times.
Unfortunately,
The details
the most recent loop was particularly traumatic for Calavelrad.
Yeah, it's the only one he remembered.
Yeah, like the details soften a bit for you as they sharpen up for others. It starts becoming a little hazier. But you still have those memories, just as people who didn't remember are regaining some of those memories.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yep.
Yes.
All good. All becomes a weird, hazy, happened and didn't happen.
Oh, it definitely happened, but like, yeah, you're no longer trying to, nor are you really able to hold the details of 5 days in your head at once. So no more head explodies, to use the technical medical term for it, of course. But yes, so the 5 of you can trip back down to the Krasnikov's transporter bay, and Captain Diamond will accompany you down. Transporter Chief Copra is still kind of in the works trying to work out what went wrong with his transporters.
Calming him down is a somebody else problem.
You're not on our staff, so bye.
We arrive back and Linkovich is like, and we're like, yeah, that's more like it.
There he is. There's a lad.
That's our boy. Talandra will instead prepare and say, when you are ready, Ensign.
Who's that at?
The transporter chief.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Strange. He was here the whole time.
Surprise!
Trying to do bench presses and just failing.
He's kind of struggles his way through like half a bush, but then just collapses to the floor. And as you're about to head off, Captain Diamond says, thank you again for your assistance on this. I don't know what we would have done without your help, but I suppose I genuinely don't know what we would have done, except maybe this again.
still don't know why it didn't affect your ship and affected ours.
Something to resolve in the future, maybe.
I expect not.
Rough.
With that, the transporters kick in, and all 5 of you return in sync back on the Iskandar.
Yeah, I guess then that's going to be just like debriefings and all of that, which I know Tharn's perspective is going to be like, let's check in with like Diamond and Diamond superiors on what we're allowed to say. And it doesn't necessarily seem like, it seems like whilst this is like being developed and classified, it's not like full on super secret squirrel level shit.
It's not super top secret nonsense.
Yeah.
It is secret but not top secret.
Yeah. So
I think it's not, you tell people and you'll be shot.
It's not yet another mission the Iskandar crew isn't really allowed to talk about.
Yeah. Like, you're not allowed to tell people like the fine details of, and here are the blueprints of Priyanka Raraz's designs, but you are, allowed
I
to
imagine
say,
that she has to give
Elrad
a bit of a longer debrief than the rest of the crew.
Yes.
Don't worry, Elrad, he doesn't understand anything.
But he has to at least be like, you understand you can't tell anything. I don't understand it. You understand you can't mention this. I don't even know what that is, Captain.
Yeah. There was a longer debrief with Elrad that basically establishes it's like, so what do you actually know about this? And when the answer comes out as being, not a lot, then
nothing more sensitive than he's probably already learned and been vetted for while being aboard Iskandar.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, once the conversation has established that, then the conversation with Elrod becomes much quicker. As it's like, well, in that case, I guess it's kind of same as what you're already doing. You carry on with the same whatever weird security protocols you're operating under with your weird position on the Iskandar. I'm not going to ask any questions about that because I'm probably not cleared to know what you're doing on that. And even if I am, I don't want to.
I don't care.
That's a you and Iskandar problem, not a me and Krasnikov problem.
Yeah. And for others, those who do understand it already have the various amounts of clearance, know all sorts of high-tech Starfleet secrets anyway, so this just probably gets expanded. Like Lieutenant Reyes, you understand the deepest intricacies of some of the most sophisticated bits of Federation technology. Yeah, here's another bit. Okay, I will do what I do with the exact. I will treat it the way I treat every other secret. I will not give the fine details of it to our enemies.
Yeah.
Or the civilian sector. Not that that's going to be as much of a.
Not that that's as much of a thing, but yes, a lot of it basically is covered by security protocols and clearances that you already operate under. Because as I say, it is secret and new, but it ain't like super magic top secret, do not reveal to anybody within Starfleet on pain of pain.
Yep.
So with that, the debriefing kind of concludes, and Captain Diamond goes back to the Krasnikov, having come over for the debrief with everybody. And the Iskandar is able to continue on its merry way back towards
Starbase 328. Athan instructs Kantos to set a course and goes to her fucking ready room as they go to warp.
And off the Iskandar goes. So, this is the space for epilogue scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I have no plans for these, so whatever you fucking want.
I think that Reyes' epilogue is going to be quite small. It would just be a very small scene with Casey, which isn't. It's literally just like the next time they are in the same space working together, she just like directly asks his opinion on something, or if because I don't think he's any more going to be anywhere near the morning briefings after the mauling he took that first time he was down there. I assume anyway, but it is just like a little thing of like the next time he drops by engineering, if she has something which is like genuinely. She at no point is being like, here's a bone, Casey. Here's a thing. I want your opinion. She just, next time there's a thing when they're working together, she actually solicits his opinion on something technical. That's it. That's the character growth here.
And I imagine like the shot is like he responds, he gives like an opinion, there's some nodding. And like he looks back to his console, and a couple of seconds later, kind of like side eyes, there's a little bit of a smile, but it doesn't last.
She frowns at him and walks off.
Oh, it was absolutely not supposed to be a smile she saw. Like he wouldn't do that. That's a boundary.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's the lesson. That's the development here.
They're having their little bonding moment, and Strange is just at the glass like, he's got a new chief engineer now.
Oh. I see I've been replaced. Well, time I chop myself out the airlock. I'm not needed here anymore.
What does Casey remember of Death with Strange?
Yeah, okay.
The people need
It doesn't
to
have to
know.
be the first
The
one. I'm
people
just
need to
yelling
know.
it at you.
I'm happy.
The people need to know.
Thanks, Roomba. That was beautiful.
So yeah, he will look for Strange.
Yep. Are you looking? I'm going to say you find Strange kind of after he's had a shift down in engineering.
All right, easy.
Fuck's sake, Michael.
He just
Shift.
stood right outside the toilet. Hello.
Hi. This is
You
weird.
shat. You did a shit. I saw.
What do you mean you saw?
Bye.
This is the bedroom. I'm pretty sure we set.
I remember dying 9 times. Leave.
9? Okay.
I don't fear death anymore. I'm a god.
Okay. Did you need to meet me outside the toilet to tell us?
No, like, I think a shift would be better. Yeah.
Yes. Let's go with a shift instead of a shit. Quite right, Dr. Lou. Weird scene, but okay.
I don't think we're ever going to see Kath again.
No, I
There she
apologise. Kath is dead. Kath will no longer be
taken
appearing.
a mouthful of guilt
Yeah,
shortbread, and then I had to try to not inhale and choke on it.
Come on, guys. Poo is gross. So I find him after a shift.
Yes, you find him after a shift. The F is important. It's like in the mess hall, grabbing some food quickly after he's done for the day. Probably about the time where you're kind of done for the day as well with your own things.
He'll probably like head over to the replicator. Sorry, I just got a message from Kath that made me laugh. Head over to the replicator, get himself some food, and see, can we sit together?
Yeah, of course.
He sits down, a little tray of food, kind of straightens up, looks up at Strange. I want you to move in with me.
Right. Okay.
I know this is abrupt.
Yeah, that a little.
I don't know if you remember. What do you remember of the loops? I don't know if you remember the time where you and I saw one through to its end together.
Strange kind of suddenly looks uncomfortable in the way that suggests that yes, he absolutely does remember that.
I remember it, and I remember many others vaguely, but I remember spending what seemed like countless days counting down the seconds until I was doomed, and all I could think of was how ironic it is, because I don't have the time. I don't have the time to keep you an arm's length while it hurts. I don't have the time to delay working on this together. And it's going to be work. And I'm not saying it's right yet, but it doesn't get right if we aren't doing it together. I counted down the seconds until I was doomed, and I realized that I don't want to be doomed without you.
It's... Are you sure? This is still quite a jump from where we are now. I mean, I don't want to rush anything if you're not comfortable with it, I guess, given everything.
I want to give you the level of certainty that I have. If you are transferred off this ship, I will request a transfer as well. It's not...
When you say that, like, there's very obvious, like, relief across Stranger's face. So he kind of almost sags a little, as if like some tension that he'd been holding kind of lets it go a bit. Wow. Then, yeah. Yes.
Good. And we'll work on this, all of it, as our careers, all of it.
Yeah. We'll work on it together.
Good.
And he'll kind of very tentatively move a hand across the table slightly closer to Casey.
His isn't tentative. He just grabs it, squeezes it, and nods. Smiles, then lets go and starts to eat, because ultimately he's still Casey, and like,
oh yeah,
he
still,
doesn't linger on anything.
Yeah. Strange also smiles, and you realise that's the first time you've seen him smile basically since the incident. And then he gets about eating his own food, because it's been a long day and Lieutenant Reyes has continued to happen to him.
I thought of that earlier today, and I was really fucking proud of myself.
So you should be. God
I believe
damn.
you did
I need
it the
you to know
next
that-
time I tried to take a bite of that fucking shortbread.
I need to know that even though I'm not even in this scene, I have just been fielding about 800 different screaming messages from people also watching this scene, and I'm like, wow, that's some real-time fan reactions.
Hell yeah. Next.
Talandra receives the officer's requisition for a change in quarter status, and she just goes, denied, and carries on.
No, can't be done. Won't
No,
have it.
I'm afraid not. Although,
Afraid he's not good enough for my son. We're incorporating you into our little Regency bullshit over here, so you understand.
I'm afraid his prospects are simply not good enough. We found you a charming young man, excellent prospects, 20,000 a year.
20,000.
20,000. Yes, the USS Pemberley. It's
I don't
lovely.
think I've got 20,000 a year of anything.
20,000 court martials a year.
That's true. I'm assuming that's what we're
Spider's
measuring.
Strange
Right?
is an outlier and should not be counted for Iskandar's disciplinary record.
I think
No,
for this
so it's surely not spiders, it's nanites.
Spider's Borg.
Nanite Strange is an outlier. and should not be
Spider's Borg. Come
Yeah,
on,
you're
everyone.
right. Sorry, you are
Sorry, you are correct.
I think the only response Talandra has to that moment is that she will get the requisition and she will give it you'll get the eyebrow and she'll just be like, just carry on with her paperwork. That's a thing. I'm gonna store in the old brain box.
Yeah, I think
Talandra
that's
box.
actually honestly something which I'm sure this is a thing which happens sometimes in all sorts of elements of paperwork where Athar and Talandra don't have a conversation about it, but Athar will just sort of bump something to Talandra, which is just literally it's been gone over with the highlighter function just as a, and that's something which she bumps back to Talandra and be like, I've spotted it. I know you got it, but
just
I like their shorthand.
Yeah.
And will probably then lead to Talandra going to the captain's ready room.
Okay.
Oh, right, okay.
Shit. Be a fun, right? Okay, yeah.
Captain, I want to arm wrestle you.
Captain,
Where did this
can
come
we
from?
kill Lieutenant Ensign Strange?
We could have done that a long time ago. Why
No,
didn't
Arguably should have.
Yeah,
has to be
if we're
now.
gonna do it, we
A lot
should
of your
have done it
problems,
while
a lot of
ago.
your problems would have been
No,
solved if
it
you
has to
just
be now.
got
I've
rid of
already
them.
deployed Lieutenant Zal. I just need you to sign off on it.
Okay, if Lieutenant Zal is already in the tubes, then I'm not going to stand in the way
I'm
of
afraid
this.
so.
Yes, Commander. What can I do for you?
I just happened to know that you were soon to be off duty for the day and wondered if you would get a drink and talk with me about what happened.
Of course, Commander.
Thank you, Captain. Talandra is really good at arranging friend dates.
Yeah. No. The son will go. They can go have a drink.
I am not certain what you recall of the past day's activities.
It's mixed, but it seems, compared to conversations with some others, that my recollection isn't all that complicated. So, it's there. What's on your mind?
My recollection of the experience is hazy, but vivid. I believe that the day occurred any number of times, and some of it is quite clear and some of it is not. To the extent that I wonder if perhaps my brain is simply filling in gaps of things that I could not have known with things that seemed plausible.
That sounds very disconcerting for you.
It is somewhat, yes. I am concerned at the toll that it has had on certain members of the crew, and as you saw, I believe it has spurred Lieutenant Casey into action. And I believe it may possibly have had a negative impact on certain others.
Such as?
I believe, given his experiences on Cardassia, Mr. Elrod has taken very poorly to the belief that his memories were not to be trusted. From what I understand, it is a common practice of Cardassian prison wardens.
To break down the subject's grasp or trust in their senses and their environment. Yes, I've seen many of those reports. Would you like it if I made some recommendations, such as encouraging him to speak more to Dr. Burov, or even sending Dr. Burov without you having to involve yourself directly?
I bring you my concerns as a member of the crew to the officer responsible for his well-being.
Mm-hmm.
There is only so much that I can say or do, but I feel it is best left in your hands. Yes, Captain, very insightful.
Yes. I will see what can be arranged, especially as I am sincerely not sure what assistance or support he received after leaving incarceration. That's not I don't think he received any. That's I don't have the information. And whilst that may have been an oversight possibly of his government, I will make sure it's not an oversight while he is a guest of Starfleet.
Thank you, Captain. I thought it was important that I monitor the response of certain members of the crew, and now that you have said to me that it has not affected you poorly.
No, it's not affected me poorly, but you seem concerned. You seem concerned about Lieutenant Casey, and you seem concerned about Elrod.
I remember having doubts. And I remember coming to terms with those doubts, but the specifics are unclear.
Well then, doubts about what?
About whether it was the right thing to break the time loop.
Well, then most certainly let me tell you of my experience, Commander, because like I said, I don't recall ever particularly knowing what was going on. So my experience was always very, very simple. One of two things would happen. Either I had a normal day and then suddenly and unexpectedly died horribly, or I had a normal day and my first officer told me that something was wrong and it needed to be dealt with. And as I recall, every single time I listened to and trusted my first officer and gave her the latitude to make the right call and the support to enact what needed to be enacted. And so far as I can tell, that was exactly the right thing for me to do every single time, Commander.
Your faith in me is certainly appreciated, Captain.
And it has paid off. And so if you have doubts about your judgment, so long as the details remain murky, if you will not trust the result as proof enough, then maybe I'll ask you to trust my assessment.
While I was concerned that at the time I may not have been making the right decision, now that I know that there was a solution, I am content with the outcome. But it perturbed me that during a time when it was required that I be at my best, I allowed myself to not have faith in the others on the crew. Not that they would remember. I believe I did not speak to them about my doubts at the time.
If you didn't
Or
tell
that they
anyone,
do not remember.
if you didn't tell anyone about it, then you don't need to worry about the impact it has on them.
It was certainly a unique experience.
Yes, it was, and we've had quite a few.
This one has been perhaps the most philosophically taxing. And I think Cat Talandra just sort of sits and sips her drink quietly. And if she is guided onto a slightly gentler topic of conversation, she's happy to go. Like, I think she's kind of talked out her concerns. She's not
Yes.
prone to angst. She's just...
Athan gives her the beat to be, because, you know, Athan is, when Talandra is feeling inclined to ruminate and talk, Athan is fairly good at just giving her the space to work through this shit out loud.
Okay, so I know what the next scene is, given what Talandra and Athan talked about. And I think it is Dr. Burov walking almost in a representation of how they started every loop, which is just a bit more upbeat, holding a cup of coffee, looking determined. They're on their way to do an important task, you know, to head into work, but they're walking up on the habitation where you know, the officers and guest quarters can be found, and you see them ringing the bell on someone's quarters, and then there is a pause, and then the door opens because it's known to be Arkady, and they just go, Adina.
What?
Strangers moving into Casey's quarters.
No.
Right?
What?
Right? Let me in. I have
Yeah,
bread snacks.
of course. Come in, quick.
I heard it from someone in engineering, who heard it from someone in science, who heard it from someone in engineering. Engineers do not talk to each other as much as I thought they would. But
No, they
apparently,
don't. They really don't.
After the debrief we received about the kerfuffle that was
Yeah,
apparently
yeah.
going on in people's brains, I don't really remember it. Apparently, Casey was so bestricken by grief that he had lost Strange again, that he decided that rather than staying on a break, he would just invite him in, like advance things forward.
Well, that's a big jump for them.
Big jump, but also like sort of also about time.
Well, yeah, like they should have done that ages ago, but also, you know, good for them.
I'm excited. I think we should get them something.
Yeah, we should definitely get them some kind of, you know, it's not really a housewarming present, is it? Especially because Casey already lives there.
Well, I was about to
moving
say
in together.
I was about to say they better throw a party, but I think that Casey and Strange would throw an
I
absolutely
don't
dire
think-
party. I think we should
don't-
throw a party for them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll take over party duties for them. Yeah.
How have you been, by
think
the
they'll
way?
appreciate-
Did any of this really register with you? Apparently, it's been a big deal.
I mean, certainly yesterday feels like it was a really long day, but
I had a great day.
yeah, other than that, it was fine.
Good morning. I woke up well rested. I had a great breakfast. You know, like I got to understand what the big problem was.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Like, you know, yes, it was just a fairly normal day. So it felt a bit long, but I wouldn't have said that it was, you know, what were we saying, like 5 days, 6 days, however many? I can't remember. I've heard different numbers from everyone.
Mondays, am I right?
I know, right? Mondays. That's what Kowalski was saying. Kowalski reckons it's just everybody's having a bit of a case of the Mondays.
I don't know what that really means, but I've been
I
told
don't know what that means either, but it sounds, you know.
I have done so many brain scans today. I am surprised that my brain scanner is not tired.
Well, hopefully, if you've done all them brain scans, it means that nobody's gonna have brain explosions and we're gonna be fine.
I wasn't prepared for explosions. It was just whether people were brain
I don't know.
tired.
Oh, it's just people being
Anyway, I think wine, party planning, and
Yes.
speculating about the decor of the new sad boy's house.
Yes. Does Casey even have much in his quarters by way of decor?
Things that he has accumulated over time.
Yeah. One of my Stripe's been keeping his stuff since he moved out of the chief engineer's quarters, and Tussle go and start getting the rosé out.
They vanish onto the sofa and just start gossiping about their crewmates.
Yeah.
Casey has one
Amazing.
piece of furniture and it's a chessboard, and that's all we know.
Fucking nerd.
No, it's a chessboard him and Gwen played chess on. It's like a
Okay,
but
you
it's
fucking
been-
sad boy.
but it's been reset because he moved past it.
Yeah.
It's no longer on the last game they played.
He's like, Talandra, will you play chess with me? No, I'm not a fucking nerd.
She shoves him down, nerve pinches him, just fuck off.
A jock boyfriend's a bad influence on her.
Yeah, who lets Talandra have a jock boyfriend?
Sorry, I needed to do a fake out. Like, I'm sure Elrod will need to speak to the doctors at some point, but I'm not giving therapy to a
No, sorry.
traumatized Cardassian on screen.
No,
No,
we are
but-
party
We don't
planning.
need
We are party planning on the sad boy's
But
behalf.
also, I couldn't let a whole episode go by where we didn't have
Wine NBs.
where we didn't have Kantos responding to a thing.
Yeah. No,
Amazing.
the inclusion of a wine NB scene in this is much appreciated.
Gonna hand the ball to the next person.
Yeah.
All right. It's my ball, I know.
It's either your ball or Zal's.
Yes, and ho.
Is there a Zal ball?
No. No, he had a really like he had 8 runs, 7 of which he didn't remember, and the 8th one the problem got fixed in front of him.
Yeah.
He didn't grow, he didn't change as a person.
Yes, he did. He suddenly understands a lot more about warp engines than he thought he did.
Yeah, maybe like that's it. Like we
He had a
see him in
suddenly
his...
very rushed day.
Yeah, like
Okay.
Athan
Yeah.
didn't have much, but Athan just repeatedly got convinced by her XO to do something buck wild. So there's like one thing. That's Athan's like true meaning of Christmas lesson. After her absolute dog shit will rolls throughout.
Maybe
Rolled
she's
pity
all-
in 7 rolls. I rolled a positive number once.
Brilliant.
Nope, not true. Oh, maybe on the dice. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. On the dice gave you a positive result.
The dice only gave you a positive result once. You had positive results 3 times,
Yes.
but 2 of those were 2s, which is your will score.
Okay.
So
Yep. Oh, we've made it the last thing now.
we can carry on party planning if you like once that happens.
Yeah, Elrad will. Yes, I think like Elrad would definitely give Talandra like a day's space or something because she's got work to get on with.
As
and
with
that's how
Talandra,
he
it is
rolls.
a constant stream of paperwork.
Yeah. He always respects giving her space to get her work done. She's got a lot of debriefing shit to do. But he will drop by her quarters. Politely.
I think perhaps she isn't expecting him to drop by, and she was expecting to have to go speak to him.
Mhm.
So she is basically like winding down for the day and is done, and is basically like she worked late, and then she's dressed down, whatever the version of dressed down is for a Vulcan.
He will come in and immediately fall into that sort of self-conscious habit of hands behind the back in a slightly at ease sort of, in the military sense, kind of posture. Talandra, I hope you're getting on fine with all of the aftermath. I'm sure there's a lot of paperwork to be resolved with all this.
There has been a quantity of paperwork to catch up with, but mercifully a great quantity of it has to be done by the captain owing to classification.
I didn't want to intrude, while you still had the burdens of responsibility to deal with.
No intrusion, I assure you. Most of it has sorted itself out owing to people not remembering.
And you're well after the experience?
I believe a recommendation has been made that those of us with significant memories of the experience are to remain under observation by Dr. Burov, but no anomalies have been reported so far, not by me or by any other crew members of telepathic capability. And yourself?
And the crew? The crew, they are... That wasn't intentional. I'm sorry, Izzy. That actually wasn't intentional.
I didn't even catch what you said that broke them, but like
Sisters and your parents.
Your parents, yes.
And your family.
And your family are well too. Yeah,
And your sisters are well.
And your sisters are well. And your parents, yes. I did not mean to then accidentally, channel.
I think Talandra will have moved to the replicator in order to like get him a drink. And will sort of be. She is acting as if the situation is a little more casual than he is, in order to try and like talk him down from being so stressed. And she goes, from what I can tell, the crew is entirely in hand.
Good.
And yourself?
I have an appointment to speak with Dr. Burov. I understand it will be necessary for me to have, I understand it will be beneficial for me to discuss the experiences with them.
While I understand that the recommendation has been made, of course, your tenure aboard the ship is handled entirely by the captain, and I would have no knowledge of any recommendations going forward. And of course, the doctor keeps your medical files completely.
Talandra, I understand that you have a responsibility to this ship, this crew, and your captain, and that in light of that, you made at least a notification that it would be advisable for me to have a conversation with a medical practitioner.
I just wish I just want to make it clear that I was not concerned beyond a concern for your well-being.
That it did not cross my mind that it was anything other than you being diligent.
You made it clear aboard the Krasnikov that you did not want your presence to be a security risk. At no point during the last day have I considered you to be a security risk for any reason.
After the last, I found myself after the last experience with, I suppose, two prevailing concerns, because if I am to be quite honest, I had not anticipated, I don't suppose anyone had anticipated reliving the same day over and over again and dying over and over again, but I had not anticipated my own reaction under duress to be that. And whilst I know that you will insist that it is not necessary for me to apologize, I insist on apologizing to you at least one more time.
No, Kalev, I was to apologize to you. Given the circumstances, I acted entirely out of line for a first officer of a Starfleet vessel and did not respect the sanctity of your private space. It was inappropriate of me to misappropriate the doctor's name in gaining access to your quarters. And I'm sorry that I put you in a compromising position.
In practice, Talandra, you intervened when I needed an intervention.
Moral luck, but nevertheless.
I had been very apprehensive. It's obviously sat ill with me. Not only that I have work to do, that I don't have work to do with the doctor. That if I am to, that there is more of a shadow over me in the last months than I had realized, and my initial reaction was truthfully to insist that I take a little time with the doctor to make sure that I was in my right mind and my mind. And whilst I, again, know that you will make all matters of insistence, from my perspective, the last thing that I would need would be to be concerned that I would, and I know I can anticipate what you'll say, but I don't need to be concerned that I would hurt you.
At no
I'm
point
aware
was I
that you are
afraid.
formidable.
You are a far more trained combatant than I am. We are both veterans of a particularly brutal war.
I'm a veteran of far more brutalities than that, unfortunately.
I would not have been the one to say it. It occurs to me that whilst I know I owe you no apology, for I cannot apologize for who or what I am, but that it is curious that, given that I have been your more constant company aboard the Iskandar since your joining us, that perhaps a more emotionally driven person might have seen that you were not doing as well. I very rarely inquire into your emotional well-being because I feel that would be somewhat invasive.
Commander, I can conceive of absolutely no circumstances in which I would have volunteered this to, I would certainly almost say anyone, partly because I was not even aware myself
Of course.
of this.
The vagaries of more emotional people is something that is a stumbling block for any Vulcan in Starfleet. One that it pains me that may have caused you to be without someone you can confide in.
That allow me to advance to the second realization that I had after reflecting on the last few days, namely the occasion where, when confronted with not only our pending mortality, but the prospect that it would be better for us to be trapped in this cycle forever, you came to me. And ultimately, what has made it abundantly clear to me that it would not be an appropriate, reasonable, or sensible thing for me to do to extricate myself from your company out of the concern that I might do you some harm and apprehensions that that concern might be paralytic. On the contrary, faced with those things and that situation, there was nothing that I wanted more with the last fleeting moments of what still felt like death to me than to be in your company. You are, we still have a lot to learn about one another. I still have a lot to learn about Vulcans. I have a lot to learn about your people. I at no point wish to misstep, be presumptuous in terms of what is appropriate, how to navigate our companionship, but I have no doubts of you have been a foundation when I have needed one. That is fundamental, and that anything else is navigating that course, I see the star clearly.
It had occurred to me as particular. She reaches out and sort of settles next to him and lays a hand on his. That when I lost faith in my ability to help the crew, the situation, that I could not conceive of anyone I could share my burden with than you. I felt that more than anyone aboard this ship you would understand. Perhaps that was selfishness, but it gave me some comfort, even though I knew I believed I would repeat the day again, that I could spend even a few moments talking with you about my concerns.
You are more than welcome to be a little selfish with me. And if you are concerned about this concern about your emotional, I do not have the word, because every word feels inaccurate.
You may speak inaccurately. I will translate.
So I believe it's inaccurate because I believe your concern is inaccurate, that if you feel that you are not emotionally
Present.
Yes. What would I hardly highly demonstrative myself? I do not believe that what you think you lack is something that I need.
Merely that in my research of Vulcan and non-Vulcan relationships, I have read many times that a lot of the stumbling blocks between the Vulcan and the non-Vulcan is that so often it is deemed by many of my texts were human, that the Vulcan is somewhat cold or disinterested in the well-being of their partner, which could not be further from the truth.
My concerns are twofold. The first is the fact that we are still getting to know each other, and I'm keenly aware that I have shadows that I need to deal with. My second concern is I do not actually know what is the most appropriate way for me to express to you that I wish to continue to spend more time in your company. I am deeply interested in developing our connection, and I do not know what form such a relationship would take for a Vulcan when we are in such a nascent, potentially fragile stage.
I believe, as I have just somewhat inadvertently admitted to you, that I have been researching, studying such instances in the past. Luckily, Sarek has written extensively on the subject, which has been a great comfort to me.
Maybe his readings should be next on our list.
I think I have a tendency to overcomplicate interactions with non-Vulcans. So I will put this simply. Stay for dinner.
I would like very much to stay for dinner.
I believe I missed our breakfast.
Several times.
So I believe I more than owe you the time back.
I think that would only be fair.
Bit forward, isn't it?
I know, right?
Dinner? Audacious.
Oh, God.
Plus, they made a pun about time.
They did.
Which is the only thing you can close a time loop episode with.
It is certainly in terms of actual words being said, but I think what we actually close on is a morning montage the next day from all of this, when it's a different morning. It is whatever the fuck the stardate is 2 days from then. I don't know, and I don't care.
And the image is Reyes, who's had a great night's sleep, has a coffee, is like, she's not like bouncy, but she's just like, yeah, having a good day. Morning, someone greets her good morning, and she's like, yeah, like she nods at them. And Arcady, horribly hungover, is just like, no,
Yes,
nobody talked to me
Perfect.
ever.
Action.
Yep. Pans up to the bridge. Kantos is present in body.
Strange is carrying a box of something and some pads into Casey's room, and Talandra and Elrod are having breakfast because some things still stay the same.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
but they're talking about a different book this time. But they are there having breakfast together as Strange walks past carrying a box of things over towards Casey's quarters. And
The
a
thumb
thumb
is still at the same desk.
Oof.
Yep.
Oof. We gotta fix our mom.
Ladies, gentlemen, and envies, that has been Hysteresis, the time loop
Woo!
this episode.
The time loop.
Thank you, Zoe, for putting up with that.
That was
Oh,
amazing.
no,
I
that was
loved it.
real good. That was real good.
Superb. Thank you.
I got a chance to bullshit. That was a really great, because that was a great Reyes episode.
It
I
was
mean,
a
that
great
from my
Reyes
perspective
It was a great
as
Reyes
a player, it was a great episode for showcasing and pushing Reyes.
Yeah, we definitely got to see a few different sides of Reyes, because we've not really seen much of Reyes in full gremlin mode yet.
Don't be suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Don't
I fucking
be
love
suspicious.
the Reyes Casey. Don't be suspicious.
That was
That was-
beautiful. That was fantastic.
and it's amazing we got through all this stuff in one part.
I know,
Yeah.
right? That was a lot of plot you guys got through it in
You
one
must be
session.
disappointed.
Was there? I don't really remember it. I don't really remember a lot of it.
Yeah, there wasn't a huge amount that happened there, but yeah, it was all just done in one session. So kudos for doing all that in a one shot.
Good job, us. Good job,
Superb.
team.
Go team.
Awesome shit.
Awesome sauce. I'm full of emotions.
God, it's so fucking bad. Elrod's so taut. It's particularly then, of course, but I need a fucking chiropractor after being him for 10 minutes.
I need you to know that if anyone watches, if I have to really go into a Talandra scene, I will always put my hand behind my back like this, because it's the only way I can stay in the moment of staying with my back straight, because it's really difficult, and it's why I tend to do this for Arcady, because I just need to stretch my back out.
A mood Strange really pulls in his shoulders and tries to make himself as small as possible, and so his Kantos really spread out and do a Riker lean but across my own lap.
I cannot live with the idea that the writings of Sarek are being used as a Vulcan, non-Vulcan dating guide.
Listen,
And yet
that dude married 2 human women. At
It
least.
was this moment
of.
it was this moment I realized before I said it. I was like, oh my god, Talandra's been reading the Sarek's autobiography or something, and I'm like, she's been studying how to date not a Vulcan.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll think you're being cold and emotionless, but pat them on the arm and say they're there. And she's like,
No,
okay.
it's you can't just ask them out for a drink. How does that work? What do Vulcans do? You have arranged marriages. That's all he knows about. He doesn't even know about the other stuff. And it's what's the middle ground?
I think he knows that she had an arranged marriage,
Yes.
and I think he knows that he's dead.
Yes, I believe that came up in What You Do in the Shadows.
Okay, good. I will.
I like that.
relate on
But for the end montage, saying it's the Burov music, but the camera follows Reyes instead. It is the Burov music, but for Reyes, it's actually like the rock arrangement of the same track.
Yeah, it's whatever the
so
song was remixed into dubstep. It's just the
Yes.
actual song.
Yes. Yep. I have face muscles again. So that was good
Superb.
shizzle.
Good shizzle.
Good. I'm glad
Emily
you liked
Rizzle.
it.
Yeah,
Please never say that again, Mike.
And the Sad Boys, they've made progress.
They've actually made
Only-
progress.
Especially considering it's been like
A while.
episodes.
Yeah.
Since
Yeah,
since
this
they went
has
on a
been
break.
a good period of like, you did bad, I'm dealing with some shit. Like, there's not been a Casey focused episode really to kind of dial in on like, hey, I'm dying and that sucks.
No,
But this is
So conveniently, Casey had an episode where he died
he
repeatedly.
died. Yeah,
a lot.
and so that helped.
One way of coming to terms with the feelings about dying, I guess, is to just do it repeatedly.
Yeah,
That's healthy, right?
I don't want
But
to
yeah.
be doomed without you. Was like, that was it. Like, I was in the kitchen when I thought of that. And I was like, fuck yeah, that's it. That's it. I know what I'm doing tonight.
That's the line. No, the one that got strange was the transfer one, but like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
for backstory reasons.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, that was the whole thing. Yes.
Izzy, I'm sorry for directly channeling the spirit of Colin Firth as Fitzwilliam Darcy
And the
completely
crew,
accidentally,
and the captain,
and your parents,
and,
like
and Lieutenant Casey.
that was
genuinely
that was
not.
some peak Colin Firth.
Oh my God,
channeling there, like,
genuinely
the spirit
not
of Colin Firth,
intentional.
It literally
full
just
body possessed,
and it was
you
just-
there.
and the crew, and I was like,
Like, your sad boy's probably not okay, but like, I don't want to be
The
too
sad
like,
boy's
how's the
never
person you
okay.
care about?
Oh,
Like,
but it
That's
was-
not okay. Like, come on.
no, it was
Yeah.
perfect. It was perfect. He was stood at the proverbial mantelpiece, and like
Go
Talandra's perfect because she got him a drink and moved him to the proverbial window so
Yeah.
he could look at the
Relax.
outside and not panic.
Yeah. Oh, that was some good shit. So some good role plays.
She's like, I've been studying for dating, so stay for dinner and we'll practice.
The moment
I want to practice smooching.
when she said
Hey.
studying and he said fretting at the same time, I was in the kitchen. I fist pumped. I was so stoked. Like, that was beautiful.
Somehow
Good.
a Cardassian has looked at this Vulcan woman and been like, that's fucking adorable. Because that was where he was at.
Amazing.
How did you know your girlfriend was adorable when she's a Vulcan? She's been researching dating. Aw, geez.
She
That's
was
cute.
flustered.
She was not flustered. She was
She
trying to find the
was.
correct words.
She
Yeah.
was totally flustered.
Vulcan
and that's
flustered.
adorable.
Vulcan flustered, thinking,
Yeah. Same thing.
and then was like, stay for dinner in my room. I want to practice smooching. And by that I mean I want to touch your hand some more.
yeah.
That's how
That's,
Cardassians and
that's
Vulcans
scandalous enough as it is.
That's how they
Good-
smooch.
good grief. Guess this episode's not safe for work.
The gay love shack is that we're good heteros having good chaste hetero dating. We're not-
Whereas you two gays and your weird scatological things are,
That's not on me. That's entirely a case. for me.
really poor choice of words there, Roomba. Incredibly poor. Poor across the board, Roomba.
I'm not sorry.
Gross. I am. We
Mike
should all be
should
sorry.
be, but he
like
is.
should be. This was good. We should do this again sometime.
Yeah, we should.
We did, Kath.
Kath, it's been
We've-
5 episodes.
Kath, we've been here before. Don't you remember?
Stop gas lamping Kath.
Bye. If we
Bye.
took our usual
Yes.
week off, then we'd have like
Yeah.
the 7th and 14th of December, and then we hit kind of 21st, 28th, then the
Yeah,
kind of, the
neither of
Christmas
which
stuff.
both. Yeah.
Well, then let's say we will meet again on the 7th, but who's to say what shall be?
Yeah, I'm down. I don't want to wait until the new year if we don't have to.
No, we won't wait till the year.
We can dive straight in December and then just like take Christmas off and come back for whatever the second half of the whoever's running next bullshit is. So see you on the 7th.
Woo! Woo!
Bye.
Bye.